Hello everyone, it's your dude coming back to you with another episode. This is James coming to you from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hello everyone, how you doing? I don't have a ton of energy or anything. That's never gonna change. Welcome. I have met a lot of people in the last couple weeks, and so I just want to start out this episode of my podcast by doing a little bit of a recap, a little bit of an introduction for who I am for all those new folks or old folks that might never have heard this before. So feel free to sit back, enjoy the laughs, because you know I can't help but think I'm funny. You're welcome. And we will have another episode. I'm drinking a lot of things down below, so if you see me hold up stuff, I have water, the healthy choice, a little bit of coffee that I didn't finish this morning, and then a little brandy old-fashioned sour because I have the ingredients and why not? So welcome everyone. As I said, my name's James. I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm wearing a shirt that says, "Don't talk to me, I'm counting," with a little yarn ball and a crochet hook. I do crochet and knit. I started knitting, I usually say like around the pandemic because it's pretty close to when I started. The actual time is more like October or November of 2019. And really that was because I was just looking for a hobby. I thought I would try it out. And I dabbled a little bit until the pandemic happened in this area of the country. That was about February, March of 2020. And then I was spending a lot more time by myself, a lot more time in my apartment by myself. And I was looking for something to be productive, to keep my mind off things, to be creative, all those things. And that's how I found the fiber arts community. That's how I found a lot of different podcasts that I would watch. I hadn't yet found things like Zoom rooms or things like that, and so I was looking for tips on how to get better, ways to do different things, and I just really dove mostly into knitting in the beginning. It was about 6 months later that I tried out crochet. I tried out some different patterns using the hooks and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mostly do knitting. I reserve my crochet for things like washcloths, scarves, blankets. I tend not to, I knit some baby blankets, but I like the crochet for stuff that's a little bit bigger, maybe uses more yarn, not as many fitted items do I like to crochet personally. I know you can do a lot with either craft. I'm not partial. That's just my own personal preference. So I like to do both. I do live in an apartment here, so if you hear noises, that happens. Of course, I'm probably going to get interrupted because I sit down to record and that's the first thing that happens. I do have a cat. Her name is Artemis. You'll probably see me squirting my water bottle at her because normally she's very chill until I turn on my recorder, and then she wants all the attention, all the love, all the needy catness, which is the reason I got a cat, except not. For those of you that think it's mean that I squirt water at a cat, this might not be the podcast for you because you ain't gonna stop me. I'm just being honest. She's fine. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I don't know what else you would like to know. I'm in my mid-30s. I host some knit-alongs. I do some different things. Not too often, every once in a while. I just find I don't really enjoy some of that background administrative things. I don't do this for money. I don't do it for any like shop affiliation or anything like that. I do it because it's fun, and there's an amazing community that I had no idea existed until I got into the crafting community, and so that's why I like to do it. Plus, I was having coworkers and family at the time that can only act interested for so long. When they don't knit, they don't craft, and so I needed another outlet, which is why I originally started podcasting. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Some administrative items. Most of today is going to be talking about the recent mini meetup that I was at. That'll be the majority of items that I go through. So I'll talk about a couple FOs that I brought with me. Some of my current projects, there's not many. and then some administrative items as well that are going on. And I don't follow a script. I don't do much editing on the podcast. You might see some designer titles or some pattern names and designers that made them. But I have decided, and a lot of people have suggested this, which I appreciate, but I'm stubborn and I do things in my own time. As anybody that has come to our Tuesday night Zooms or gotten to know me will probably tell you and confirm. I have decided to take the advice of doing less editing with my podcast videos for those returning viewers, because it just makes it easier to keep up with podcasting. It makes it faster to get some things done. So yeah, there'll probably be a little bit less editing than some of the returners are used to, but you'll be fine, totally fine, as my friend Agatha would say. So yeah, that's a little bit about where we're at. Administratively, there was a couple of knit-alongs that I was doing, and so I would like to close those up now. I think it's time. It's probably past some deadlines I set in the past, but I haven't really closed anything, and so I am giving folks the benefit of having a couple days to close any last minute entries they have. I was doing a knit along for the Burra cowl by Marie Green, which I said would be closed at the end of July, and so I am closing that. Let's see our calendar here. These are all going to be closed at the end of the day, Wednesday, August 5th. And so it's your last chance to get any entries in. If you've been working on the Burra cowl, feel free to put your progress so far. I know it has a lot of color work that folks aren't used to. Feel free to put an entry in, even if you're not completely done. If you are done, feel free to put it in there. This is what the Burra cowl looks like. This is what it looks like. So here's a close-up. It is an amazing pattern. It was great practice for me, working on some color work. I did not like the colors I chose. So for example, see all this pink right here? I didn't like how that was showing up in the pattern. I couldn't conceptualize how it would look, so I flipped it halfway through, and where that pink was, now you see the blue, which I find more aesthetically pleasing personally. So it is what I would say not a hard color work pattern. Having not done a ton of color work in the past, that's why I say that. You are only holding 2 strands of yarn together at one time. You're never doing 3-stranded color work. There's several sections of the pattern repeat where you're just holding 1 strand of yarn to give yourself a little bit of a break. And there's 4 sections that go into this, and you knit it as a tube and then you seam it together. And so it's just a wonderful pattern. I really appreciate how Marie Green wrote this. I used the recommended yarn, which was Jameson yarn, which for those of you that are a little bit more sensitive, several folks have described this as very tough wool. If you have sensitive skin, I would not recommend it. I don't really have sensitive skin, and I do enjoy the way that it looks. I will probably not wear this as a cowl very often. It's very stiff in its construction. I'll probably wear it, if anything, like this. I'm going to keep it in my car. I live in Wisconsin. We get very cold weather. I will keep it in my car and use it for those terrible, terrible days where it's like below 0, and I'll be very thankful for it when I do have it. So this knit along is closing. Get your progress in there, even if you haven't finished it. Feel free to put it in Wednesday, August 5th. By the time it hits Thursday, I will draw, or I will close it on Ravelry, I should say, and be done with that knit along. My Ravelry is Dude Knits 89, so feel free to find me. I'll put the Ravelry link. I'll do that edit right there. Feel free to look on there for more details. That knit along is closing. The other knit along that I was doing was a spring cleaning mail. So getting all of those spring cleaning items done. Considering that this weekend it got excuse me, well into the 80s and 90s, I would officially say we are past spring, in my personal opinion, not the calendar, just the world according to James, and it's time to close the spring cleaning mail. So if you have gotten any spring cleaning done, there was a couple stipulations that you had to have started something in 2023. And that's what we were really looking for that make along. So feel free to double, triple enter. For those of you that started the Burra in 2023, feel free to enter that. If you're doing any other knit alongs, feel free to enter anything. Go ahead. I leave it pretty open. And so I will be drawing those and giving folks a chance to kind of get their last minute entries in by Wednesday, August 5th at the end of the day. So those are a couple of the administrative things. There will be some future knit alongs happening. That is absolutely going to be a thing. I don't have dates nailed down yet. I'm still thinking about some percolating ideas. One of the things that I want to have happen in 1 year's time, so by next July, I want to have the Batad by Stephen West made. So that is something that I very much want to do. I haven't decided if I'm doing Stephen West's Mystery Knit Along. He does that every year. It's about the October time frame. He'll probably come out with a video, I'm guessing, in a couple weeks promoting that. Last year I was going to do it, and then I ended up doing a test knit for someone else, and so I didn't get to do it. I may or may not do a knit along around that time frame, maybe a West along where you can do any of Stephen West's patterns. I know several folks like to know the finished product, and they might have a Stephen West on the needles from years prior. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Would you like to do a West along? Would you like to do something else? Feel free to let me know. So that's percolating. And that's all the admin-y stuff that I have. I guess one thing I could mention is on Tuesday nights, I typically host a Zoom. The information for that is in the description below, including the Zoom link and the password. The password is my birthday month and year. So it's month and year for those of you that have gotten a little confused with that. Feel free to join. It is really just a group of people. I don't have much structure to those Zooms. In fact, sometimes I don't even show up. I do always leave the door open for people to come into the rooms. I will be there this Tuesday, which is August 1st. Absolutely. But I make no promises to anyone that I will be there every single Tuesday. I am much more attentive when the weather gets colder and it's harder to travel in Wisconsin. But in summertime, you got to get in the warmth while you can. Sometimes I'll post Instagram updates, sometimes I won't. I will say that there's usually always people there every Tuesday, and they're pretty welcoming bunch. So don't be shy, feel free to come in. If you have trouble with the Instagram link, you can try and maybe send me, or the Zoom link, you can try and send me a message on Instagram. It's dudeknits89. I will try my best to remember to take a look at that. I'm not historically the most attentive to my phone. I'm not always, unless it's at night and I'm looking up memes before bed. Then I'm very attentive. But I will try and help out folks if I can. I'll try and remember to keep my phone on hand, especially this current week. That, I think, is my final administrative things. Life updates for those of you that are getting to know me. I am the oldest of 4, and I am in my mid-30s. I do have to kind of admit that now. I am turning distinguished. I really am. I am going gray in different spots. I have been for several years, but I don't complain about it because my younger, yes, I did say younger, brother is completely bald, which I enjoy way too much. So, yep, I am in my mid-30s. I'm the oldest. Both of my siblings have children. They both have a son. And so I have 2 nephews. Their birthdays are coming up. I'm very excited. My one nephew is turning 1 year old in a couple weeks, and my second nephew is turning 2 in December. And so they're amazing. I love seeing them. There's just, it's a whole family dynamic that changes, especially being the oldest. I was very typical, very overly responsible. I was always the one kind of trying to take care of my siblings, trying to be there for them. To see them become parents and then to see my nephews grow up is something I treasure. And it's one of the reasons I'm actually still in Wisconsin, because they're both within half an hour, 35 minutes of me. I could have gone anywhere in the country with my career, with my degrees, but I wanted to be part of my family and my siblings' lives, and we don't do well with long distance, and so it would not be the same for us. And so it's really cool for me to be here and to see those things. And so very happy with that. Everything is amazing with the family, which I'm thankful for. Thankful for all of that. So that's what's going on. For those of you that have watched, have left my career with the university, and so I used to work in higher education. For those of you that are still in student affairs and that are watching this, kudos to you. I mean, honestly, I give you a ton of props. That is a difficult career to be in. I did end up leaving the university. I did not leave, I don't think, on bad terms, but I did decide that if I wanted to make a career move, I needed to do it then. Otherwise, there's too much time invested into the career to leave. And I was getting burned out with a lot of the issues that were coming, with a lot of the career options that were happening. It just burned me out, and I was tired, and I wanted something different. And so I took a huge leap of faith. I went and completely changed careers. I actually ended up taking a pay cut to make that happen. And I got a part-time job to stay viable. So not only did I get a new career where I was starting out at the very bottom, actually being a contract worker and not hired by the business I wanted to work for, and then had a part-time job every other weekend as well to make it happen. And for any of you that are in the same boat, you can do it. I have faith in you. Keep doing what you need to do. Keep grinding, because I'm here to tell you that it can absolutely be worth it. You can make your goals come true if you keep working at it. I have officially accepted a full-time job offer. I'm very excited. I'll be starting that soon, and I'm so thankful. It's such a huge relief to me, because it's scary doing that. It's scary changing careers and going somewhere that you don't know what's going to happen. I was actually talking with Frugal Miss Penny at the meetup I'm about to go into about an interesting podcast that I really want to reach out to her and get the name of that, about the neuroscience of doing something like that, of completely going into the unknown and changing your career, doing something different. I have always had the mentality that life is too short to stay somewhere where you're not truly happy, where you could be doing something different, and it only happens if you put in the work. Nothing was ever handed to me. I worked very hard to get where I was at, and I'm planning to continue doing that because I don't really know how to do anything else. But you can make it happen, and I have all the faith in you. I'm here to encourage you if I can, that you can do this. But that's where I'm at. I'm starting my new full-time job on Monday. Very excited. I am planning, for those of you that know my part-time job, I worked at a local hospital. I do plan to not continue that forever. It's going to be an interesting transition period with how the paychecks are working and things like that. It was an amazing part-time job where I got to help people, but it was in healthcare and working at a hospital. And for all the nurses that are out there, all the CNAs, all the healthcare folks, I had no idea. I had no idea until you actually work in that environment what happens. And you all are amazing human beings. I can't eloquently say all of my thoughts on the healthcare system because I very much just dipped my toe in it. Definitely didn't make a career out of it, but from the exposure that I've seen, y'all deserve so much more money, so much more time off, and so many more people helping you than you have. And so thank you to all the people that are involved in healthcare. thank you. There's no other words. And until you work in that environment, I don't think you can truly appreciate what people do and how much they put on the line for patients and family that come in. Yes, and so my days at the hospital are going to be numbered. I don't have an exact date yet. I've been throwing around a couple different ideas, but that will allow me to get some of my weekends back, which means I'll get to see the family, the nephews, some more, because right now I was working every other weekend, and then it felt like I was just telling people I'm working all the time, and so I am excited to transition off of that. So big things happening in my life, and I do promise this is a crafting podcast, not a life testimonial of James, although I'm sure you all would love to hear more and more about that. I think I'm funny, and I know that there's people that just rolled their eyes. So that was for you, the people that rolled their eyes. There'll be more moments like that. Don't worry. So the most of this podcast, I want to talk about the mini meetup and meetups in general. So I recently came back from the Frivolous and Frugal and the 3-Ply podcast Chicago mini meetup that was held in Hoffman Estates. Chicago is not too far from Wisconsin, so it was about a half an hour drive down to Hoffman Estates, and it was amazing, you all. Thank you so much to Frivolous and Frugal and the 3-Ply ladies. It filled my heart so much to go to this. I love the event. I love everything about it. So for those of you that don't know what a mini meetup is, or a meetup in general, I can kind of describe the way this one happened and the itinerary. You can also see some pictures on my Instagram, Dudenitz89. I did get several requests from folks to kind of take some pictures and take them along, because not everyone can attend. There is a travel cost associated, things like that. One of the things I love about this specific mini meetup is that they do try and keep it so affordable for folks, and it really was. It was amazing for me to be able to go to this. I had already been to Knit City, Montreal, which I'm not going to classify as a meetup. I'm going to classify that more as a shopping trip, really, and a travel destination for me personally. That's how I thought of it. Other people might not have. But the meetup I really saw as something more social. You get to see people from all over. I met people that I've known for 3 years on Zoom and have never met in person. That was so amazing to get to do, and I was so excited to see people. And working from home, I think I was even more social than I was last year, which is saying something. So I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to say you're welcome to the folks that I met. I'm not always that high energy. I was just so excited to see people. So the trip chronologically, I packed my car. I overpack. I always do. I don't know if I drove to Chicago, but when I'm flying, I don't know if I've ever not checked a bag. And there's something about knowing you have the option of different outfits or different things to bring, even if you're never going to pull them out, that I can't get away from, and I'm totally okay with. But when you're taking other people with you, you do need to leave room for them in the car. And so I did take a little while to pack and unpack. I did pick up one of my good knitting friends, Vani from Appleton, which was super nice. We got to drive down together. And then we got to pick up our other good friend, Agatha, at the train station. And so 3 of us were kind of driving around a lot together. The drive down, there's almost no issues. We only had traffic slow down, I think maybe one time. I thought it might have been near Oshkosh. For those of you that don't know, I did graduate from UW Oshkosh, the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, and they host the world's largest air show. It's called the Experimental Aircraft Association, or EAA, and it's the world's largest air show in this small Wisconsin town. Well, small, it's 60 or 70,000 people. But when I went as a student there, I met people that have saved up their entire lives to go one time. And so we got to see some really cool helicopters doing a helicopter show, flying through the air. I thought we might have hit some major traffic there. We didn't. We were good. We did have an issue where there was an accident on the other lane, the other side of the road, going the opposite direction, and traffic slowed down in our side of the road because people were slowing down to watch, which doesn't seem very safe to me, and I got very annoyed. Because there was no accident, there was no lane closures or anything on our side of the road. People were literally just slowing down to watch, and it was a 3-lane highway. So we didn't need to have that. Please don't do that. It's one thing if you're on the same lane and you want to get over or slow down because people are pulled over, but if you're in the opposite lane of traffic, let's not cause another accident. And that is my soapbox for the day. But the drive down was really great. We went straight through. It was about 2 hours and 45 minutes. We got to the hotel. We were able to check in right away, which was amazing. I felt so bad because when we were picking up Agatha, her train got delayed. And so it was a little while until she was able to get in. And we drove through Chicago at probably, I think that's one of their rush hours technically. So we have lots of stories from that. Poor Vani did not know what she was getting into because I lost my patience several times. I try and not do that, but I just did when it's bumper to bumper, and I'm not used to that aggressive style of driving that I think you cultivate when you live in a larger city. Green Bay is not the largest city, especially traffic wise. Yeah, it was an experience. It took us an hour and a half, 2 hours to go, was it 30 miles? Yeah, that's the amount of traffic that they had. And then we get there and we wait for our good friend Agatha, who I bought her old spinning wheel so I can continue to learn to spin. And so we just kept looking for the woman walking down the sidewalk with the spinning wheel. And then we found her, and it was so great because Agatha is one of the people that I've never met in person, and I see at least once a week, and then I'm messaging all the time. She's an amazing human being. I loved getting to meet her. And then we shared a hotel room too. So we got to meet Agatha, go back to the hotel. The mini meetup technically didn't start until Friday, but I knew from my experience last year when I went that Thursday, there's usually a lot of folks around, and the same thing was true. We kind of take over the hotel lobby. That was great. It was wonderful. We got to sit and knit and meet people and see people, and it was just amazing. I loved every single second of it. And I do say it was a little warm the first 2 days that we were there. I think the air conditioning had a little trouble keeping up, and then it was fine. The weather was beautiful the last 2 days, and the air conditioning in our room worked really well, very well. So that was wonderful. It was great to see people from all over. Yep, that was probably my favorite part about the mini meetup is the people. I didn't really go with the express desire to go shopping for a lot of different things, to do a ton of buying. I really thought that was Montreal, and so I didn't do a lot of going out and about. I think stayed at the hotel a lot. Thursday we met people. We were able to get into the actual conference room because they had a conference room that had a bunch of tables set up for people to knit at. People brought some they call a put and take table where you can put something down and take something, or if you had things that needed a new home, like a shawl that you were never going to wear or something like that, somebody else could take that. And so those tables were set up. There was some snacks, there was coffee. I mean, it was wonderful, and there was people everywhere, and it felt like everywhere I went I was meeting either people that I think I knew or that I then knew because I was meeting them. It was just wonderful. You walked into a room and it felt like home. It felt like everyone was being very inclusive that I saw, and of course I didn't see everything, but that was my intention when I was meeting people, was try to get to know them, to see what was going on. Compared to last year, I really tried to make an effort to, at least for a couple minutes, go to different tables, meet different people, because I enjoy that personally. And now that I am working from home, I don't get as much social interaction, and so I was going to different tables. Some people liked it in the lobby a little bit more because some of the furniture was a little more comfortable. There's a little more space. was a little warmer sometimes. It was a little colder in the other room. People were kind of all over, and so was I, all over, be bopping around, going to different tables, meeting people. So many great people, so many great podcasts if you haven't checked them out. A Magpie's Cottage, the 2 podcasts that we're hosting, obviously Frivolous and Frugal, and the 3-Ply podcast, Penny from PJ Knits, Alt Knits, I met them for the first time, a Pandemic Knitter, Beth, I had met last year, got to see her again, that was great. So many amazing podcasts. I'm probably forgetting some. I didn't write them down, but I loved getting to see everyone. It was great. I loved meeting people. I ordered in the hotel a couple times. This should surprise no one that was in my Zoom rooms for the past year. You can get Jimmy John's delivered. I know that personally, to the hotel, and so that did happen. There was some ramen that got delivered. There were several snacks throughout the week. Breakfast was included. It was a really nice breakfast spread. It was sort of the same every day, but you could pick different options if you wanted, or you could stick with the same thing. So the food was great. The people were amazing. And when somebody asked me, what's your favorite part about really when I do any type of vacation, but about the mini meetup, it's always going to be the people. It's always going to be spending the time. I don't always remember what it's about, but I can remember late in the night just laughing so hard until my side hurt because someone said something funny or something happened. And it's that type of community, that type of camaraderie that it just fills my soul. My heart's too full for words, even though I'll keep speaking words. I just love it. I really loved meeting everyone, the sense of community, and both the people I knew, the people I didn't know. It was phenomenal being there, and I'm thankful for so much for the people that put it on and the people that attended, and those are the types of things that I love to do. I would absolutely 100% go back again today. I am a little tired because I didn't end up going to bed, I think, any night until midnight, and then I don't tend to sleep super well when I'm not at home, and so that's nobody's fault. But it was just wonderful. It was great to meet people, to see people I haven't seen in forever. Just phenomenal. I loved every single second. We did end up taking a couple pictures. We took some pictures with everybody that had completed the Burra Cowl. That's something that happened. I think a Magpie's Cottage and the folks that have gone to some of their meetups or their retreats took a couple pictures. And then, I don't know if I've ever showed this, we did something that was started by our good friend Kim from Around the Table Yarns, who hosts a couple Zooms. I think Kim was the instigator of the green sweater. So we took a picture with everybody that had completed green sweaters. And so this is the Autumn League pullover. It is done. It is complete. No, I am not wearing it because it's summer in Wisconsin. I'm not wearing this. I loved how it turned out. This was such a journey for me, but we all took pictures with that, and those are the 3 pictures we took when we were at the mini meetup. This specific sweater, there are 4 different sweaters. They're all with the seasons. They're all called League, I'm pretty sure. So there's a Spring League, a Summer League, an Autumn League, a Winter League. And I just love this little detail. The whole reason I did this sweater is this detail. That's it. That's the whole reason I did this. And the big takeaway lesson for me with this sweater, it fits beautifully now. I reknit it like 3 times. Is that gauge is not just important. Both numbers in your gauge are important. So the row gauge is important, as is the knit gauge. And so that was some of my issue. I used the wrong weight of yarn. I didn't measure my row gauge. All of these are user error. But because my gauge was off and I'm supposed to use a DK, I used a worsted. This is Cascade 220. 100% pure 100% Peruvian wool. So I knit it way too big, had to rip back like a skein and a half. And then the second time I knit it, I still didn't check my row gauge. I had fixed my knit gauge issue, but my arms were too low. And so it just made the armholes look really weird. So I went back and I redid that again, and then I finished it, and it turned out beautiful. It turned out perfect. Can't wait to wear this winter. I won't need a jacket when I wear it because it really retains the heat. But yeah, that is a finished object y'all probably haven't seen because I haven't showed it on the podcast before. So we took a couple pictures, but the theme this year was back to the basics, and so it really was a chance for people to just come together and share different things. And you saw all different kinds of crafts. It wasn't just knitting. So I saw knitting, crocheting, Ingrid, I love you, Ingrid. I'm not doing it, but I love you, Ingrid, did a lesson on English paper piecing, which I don't know, is that technically like a sewist craft? Hand stitching? I think that's what it falls under. So yep, she was there. She taught a lesson on that. There was beautiful cross stitching, people that were spinning, lots of different spinning, both electric and non-electric wheels, some beautiful yarns. Lisa was doing some bats where she was creating her own knitting bats. It was awesome to see. So everything and anything in between. Everybody was super welcoming, very inclusive with all the different crafts. I loved all of that. The hotel staff was very nice. The hotel itself, I thought was very good. It felt very approachable being in there. Nothing was really worn down. There was one incident where it stormed really hard and it did start to pour from the ceiling, which was not coming from one of the room floors. They had like a ceiling over the first floor before the actual hotel went up. So that's where it kind of leaked a little bit. But other than that, they were super nice. They opened rooms early. They were very accommodating to everybody that was in there. There was no issues. We did end up seeing, and I hope they're okay. They weren't part of the group as far as I know. There was a paramedic, an ambulance was called, and the paramedics came in. We saw a gentleman kind of leave. He was conscious when he left, and so I hope that they're okay. They weren't affiliated with our group. Then we also saw some firefighters. Yep, we saw some firefighters. There was no fire. The fire alarm went off. And you can bet your britches that every lady that was in the lobby, and me, of course, let's be honest, turned to immediately look. There was some very nice tattoos and very nice firefighters to look at. I absolutely text some other people and I'm like, there's firefighters, you're missing out. And they came in just as soon as the fire truck pulled away. So there was no actual fire, no actual issue, but we definitely enjoyed the view. And you should have heard some of the ladies. Oh my gosh. As soon as they were walking out, I mean, they didn't catcall them, but those ladies were very appreciative. And so was I of the firefighters that came through. And then Sunday morning, the last day, the lobby area reserves the big table for some police officers that come in. So we saw the trifecta, paramedics, firefighters, and police officers were all there. So that was fun to come into. But yeah, it was phenomenal. Some people went to the yarn crawl. Some people have never been to Chicago. Our good friends Melissa and Jason went and checked out the city itself, and they did so many cool things, which I loved hearing about because I've been to Chicago several times and have never heard about some of these things. I was way too tired and didn't want to do the traffic, but it was fun hearing from them all the things they did, and definitely things to think about for the future because I'm definitely close enough to visit again. Yeah, so that was interesting to hear. There was the Chicago Yarn Crawl going on. There was different events, like you could, my friends Carol and Amy heard about this trolley that you could take and visit a whole bunch of different knit stores. I don't know if anybody did that in our groups, but there's a lot to do, a lot to see. I didn't really want to go out that much, and so I did go to Wool & Co. That stands for Wool & Company. And it was the last day. My membership from last year, they have this special membership thing, was still active, which was super nice because it was the yarn crawl. I got 10% off for that, and then another 10% for this membership that I was part of. I didn't really shop from them this past year, so I didn't renew it, but it was nice to get a couple things that I purchased there. And so, Wool & Co. I bought a couple things. I bought a couple Chowgu needles because I just wanted some fixed needles. Then I bought, this is Cascade Yarn Cherub, the Aran. Look at those colors. They're beautiful. It feels so soft. I'm doing a couple car seat blankets for some friends of mine that are pregnant right now. And so it's 55% nylon, 45% acrylic, 100% washable. Don't need to worry about that at all. So 2 of these skeins make the baby blanket. So I got 4 skeins. So these 2 kind of go together. They're like shades of blue that go together really well. And then I got some shades of like gray and darker blue. You can see that. Where's my camera? There it is. Darker blue. And that's one of the projects that I have on the needles. And so this is what it is looking like knit up. You can barely see that blue. It's very light. But it's a very simple pattern, a seed stitch border. The light's kind of messing with it. Seed stitch border on the outsides, and then it's so soft, you guys. I'm knitting it with a US 8 because I'm a loosey goose. I think the pattern calls for a 9 or 10. And by pattern, I mean the shop sample that was knit by one of the workers there, so I don't have a Ravelry code to give you or anything. I think I cast on 80 stitches, and I did 5 stitches on each side for the seed stitch border. Very simple. So the first couple rows seed stitch, and then stockinette the rest of it except for the 5 stitches on either side. So very easy to do. That's the yarn that I got. I found some great sock yarn. So this is Heritage Prints. I love these colors. Without even knowing it, my friend Amy and I got the exact same skein because we were there at different times. This is how it knits up. I love that pattern. I'm a little worried because I don't really ever knit to gauge. So I'm just going to wing it, and I think it'll get me pretty close to that type of pattern, but we'll see. If it doesn't, I still just love the colors, and I'm not going to lose a little bit of sleep out of it. And then I bought a bunch of Sansgarn Sunday yarn, which is, hold, 100% merino wool. I wanted some solid colors for my stash. I am always buying speckled and variegated yarns because I think they're beautiful, and I buy one skein and then I have no solids to go with it. So I bought enough to have 100 grams of all these different colors. So there's this dark gray, there's this shade of blue, I have a deeper shade of blue, so there's the 2 separate, and then I have a nice beige neutral. And that was really all I purchased. That was about it. I didn't need anything else. I was filling my bucket with people. Yeah, oh, I lied. That's the only thing I bought in Chicago. Before Chicago, I did go in on someone and we bought a couple new bags. Well, a new bag. So anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge fanboy for the Needles at the Ready podcast, Kevin and Ray. I always watch their episodes. I got to meet them for the first time in Montreal. Oh, I'm sure I was a babbling idiot and I barely spoke to them, but I loved it. Loved meeting them. So they have a new shop that's open. They closed their other shop, so they have their own website, all that good stuff. And they put some merch out. Yeah, I got my own bag. Look at that. Let's hear it for the boys, which is their I don't know if it's their inaugural podcast, but it's one of their podcasts that they do that's one of my most favorite. And it's a really nice canvas bag with this amazing graphic on it. I love it. And it came with a couple other, like a pin and a sticker and all that great stuff. I love it so much. So this is a bag that I got. Oh, can't wait to wear it, to use it, all that good stuff. So that was another purchase that I had. My friend flew in, so that was Carol, and I went in on it, and instead of both of us paying for shipping, she just brought it with her since she was going to see me. And so, yeah, that was something that I had. And then I got a couple amazing gifts. Thank you so much to folks. You didn't have to do this. I got another amazing bag that is canvas as well. It's very similar to the Let's Hear It for the Boys, just the colors are different. So I love these. It's white with yellow on the bottom. This is a canvasy material, perfect for the summer, just to have a project in or anything that you need a bag for. And so, yeah, I'm very thankful for that. Love it. It was amazing. Don't know what I'm going to use it for quite yet, but I don't have a problem filling project bags. Nope. Don't have a problem with that at all. Then, oh, they did not have to do this at all, but Bonnie gave me this amazing bag. Look at this. Of course you saw it on Needles at the Ready already, and so of course I fanboyed even more. This is Portland leather. Look at that. I used this all weekend. It was the perfect bag to keep my, I'm working on the Stephen West Contrast Blast socks. And so it was perfect for keeping my iPad, keeping that, some snacks, and taking everything. It's such good quality. My gosh, you guys, such good quality. I love it. I love it. I love this project bag. I love everything about it. I'm so thankful to have it. I used it all 4 days. I always had this somewhere. That was so nice. Yeah, so I left and I came back with 3 bags that I did not leave with. And then my good friend Penny, she had a couple books as well for that were, I can't remember the names of them. They're sweaters for men. And there's a couple patterns that I really want to do. I'm a sucker for a good cable, and I don't have a good cabled sweater. And so those are definitely going to be knit at some point. I need to do some math with them. The books are a little bit older, so the sizes don't go quite as high as I need for me, and so I'm going to try and figure out some of that math that gets involved, and I think I'm at the point where I could be okay trying to do that. Yeah, but thank you, Penny. I'm so appreciative that you brought those with you. I left those out for other people to take a look at, and then I brought them home with me. So very thankful for that. Anything else with the mini meetup? I did bring a couple shawls just in case the AC was a little on blast. It was last year, and so this is not a new shawl, but I feel like I bring it with me everywhere. It's such a good shawl, and this is totally Kim's fault because she's showed me hers. This is the Painting Bricks by Stephen West, and it's just massive. I love it. It's so nice. It's made out of 100% moisturized cotton, and this is Shipja's Katona, which I bought from Around the Table Yarn. Such a good deal for all the colors you get, and it has lost absolutely none of its vibrancy, and that's what moisturized cotton is known for, is it lasts a really long time. And even though it's cotton, it's very much warm, and so I think I hit 4 or 5 different people were wearing this at different points of the meetup because they were a little chilly, and I had it with me, and so yes, people were wearing it. That was wonderful. And then something else that I had finished that I don't think you've all seen, but this is totally Miss Cheryl's fault, so thank you, Miss Cheryl. Because last year at the mini meetup, she had mentioned a couple different patterns that she wanted to do, and several of us bought yarn. And so this is not the original yarn I was going to do it in, but I really wanted to do the Pagona sweater by Stephen West. That's Pogona. Often gets confused with the Penguino. There's a lot of patterns that start with P. But it's a 3-skein shawl. I loved it. Very easy knit. Very enjoyable. This is the Pagona by Stephen West. The bottom of it probably needs to be blocked again, but it has these amazing sections. It's really just a play with some increases and then knitting and purling. But you can make up as many increases as you want to make up. I use 3 different skeins. So the top skein is La Bien-Aimée Grello. And then I have 2 other skeins that I don't know the name of. But I had this variegated yarn that had the shades of the yellow in it and the shades of this blue. So I love that you can really see the blue and you can't really see the other transition. I did that on purpose. The only complaint that I have about this shawl, and it's not a complaint because I could have kept going, is that it doesn't really, I like Schlankets. It doesn't hit the same way the Painting Bricks does. It's just not quite big enough for my shoulders. It does work. It does wrap up, but it doesn't come far enough down my back the way the Painting Bricks does. And so that would be my only complaint, but I love doing it. There is no complete purl rows. You're always switching up the knitting and the purling, and I loved it. And Kelly from Knits and Pieces, I think, was the one that spent the most time wearing that at the mini meetup, because they also came. I forgot to mention, I can't believe I forgot Knits and Pieces. I love them. Kelly and Noelle, they're amazing. We saw them in Montreal. I first met them last year in Chicago, and then they're back in Chicago again. Those ladies are a hoot and a half. I love it. They're great. So yeah, those are all of my finished objects that had to do with the meetup, what I spent most of my time knitting on. And I don't know how people get things done at meetups, because I just was zooming this way, that way, every which way to meet people. And I was able to finish Clue 4 for the Contrast Blast socks from Stephen West, and so that's the last thing that I'm going to show. Now, the Clue 4 did come out on Thursday. It's currently Monday, so if you don't want to see this, I'll tell you before I hold it up, because it'll be the last thing I talk about. But overall, the meetup was amazing. It filled my soul in so many different ways. Got to see so many wonderful people. I can't possibly mention them all, but I really did enjoy meeting people, and that's why I go to some of these meetups. I really don't think I go for yarn shopping. I go for the people. I go for the community, and I'm so thankful for it. So thankful, incredibly thankful. So I can't wait. I will absolutely be going again if it happens again. I have no details or anything. I don't actually run anything. I am an enthusiastic participant. I want to be clear with everyone. Enthusiastic participant. I am an attendee. Like the batad that we're doing, I think some people may have gotten confused. That is not associated with the meetup at all. That is James trying to coerce everybody to join him, so he has motivation to finish his own batad that he has been wanting to do since last year. So I can't wait to cast that on. I've been looking at colors, and I'm like, how angry would Miss Cheryl be if I already have cast it on? Oh, she would not let me forget it. She would not let me forget it. I love it. It was so good. But yeah, it was great to see everyone. Great to meet everyone. The batad is going to be a thing that I'm doing before the next thing. Other than that, I don't have another real meetup that I'm thinking about. There's a couple local events that are happening if you happen to be in Wisconsin. I haven't checked to see if there's still tickets available, but a local yarn shop in the Neenah Menasha area called Fiber is putting on a little couple-hour ferry cruise down the river here where they're taking knitters and or crafters, I should say. So I might see if I can go to that. I don't know if the weekend will work out or if there's even still tickets, but I was going to let some folks know as well. I was going to talk to Vonnie, going to talk to Dawn, all that good stuff about maybe doing that. And then Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, I think, is coming up. I wanted to spend a day going down to that. Next year, I absolutely want to do the New Jersey Wool Walk, and so I want to experience that. A couple folks have asked if I would do Knit City Toronto. I don't know if the timing will work out for that. I do have a bit more stability now with the new job that I'm starting, so that might be a possibility. I'm not going to say no for sure. I was not originally planning on it, but that might be a thing. There's a Magpie Cottage retreat that might happen that I might go to if there's still tickets and the timing and all that stuff works out. So we'll see. Long story short, this is not the only meetup that I will go to. I love these. They're great. I still do my Sunday morning meeting that I had started at our local coffee shop, Kavarna. I love it. It's great. Such great people, such great atmosphere. And the owners are so nice, so amazing. So I still do stuff like that. So yeah, that's a little update with my life. I will be doing an episode on Montreal, and it's going to be a look at a couple months later what I think of the event, because it's been a couple months, and I think that might be interesting to see the perspective now that it's been a little while. See the things I still remember and I don't remember and all that good stuff. So keep an eye out. If you do want to enter any of those knit-alongs, please just remember that I'm going to be closing them at the end of the day on Tuesday. So when I wake up on Thursday, August 6th, when I wake up, I'm going to be closing those Ravelry pages. So feel free to join. I am going to be showing the last project that I'm working on, so if you do not want to see the final clue of the Contrast Blast socks, now's your warning. Look away. Look away. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You had your chance. So this is the Contrast Blast socks from Stephen West. And so it's a cuff down, which I prefer. I used 2 different yarns. I used Mitchell's Creations is the pink, and then 100 Ravens Yaksha in the colorway A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away is the blue and dark gray. So there's a couple cables you can't really see. Now he did advise you not to use heavily speckled yarn with this, but I love these colors together, so I did anyway. So you can't exactly see the cables up here. He's got this wonderful stair stepping. Here's where I was proven wrong. He has this section here with the basket weave where when it's not on the sock blocker, it looks bulky, it looks 3D, and I thought it looked really ugly until I tried it on. When you try it down, it flattens it all out, and it does this magical thing where when you look at the top of the sock, it has these slants in it. Let me show you upside down. It has these slants, and when you're looking at it like this, when you're looking down at the sock, I can't super show you well, it creates the optical illusion that by these basket weaves they go into the slants. So it creates a really cool optical illusion when you wear it, and I love it. The heel, I think this is, I'm not 100% sure if this is right. Somebody said this might be Eye of Partridge with the heel flap and gusset. It's the first time I did something like that. It's interesting. I prefer my basic heel flap and gusset because I'm pretty basic when it comes to socks. I did love this. There's a cable right here with his gusset that I loved. Yeah, overall it fits really well. The sizing didn't go quite right. I followed his suggestion of measuring your foot and then doing an inch lower. But when I actually knit that for the right sock, and this is the left one, it was way too big, and so I just went closer to what I normally cast on for socks, and I did a size 2 for me, and I have a size 11 foot. And so the toe was interesting. I don't know the name of the pattern we did for the toe, but you do kind of like a broken rib on all of the non-decrease rounds, and not a super big fan of that. I won't give you the exact pattern or everything. That's where I would say the things that I was proven wrong, because originally I was saying I'd like to see one with just one of the pattern techniques all the way through, but it does look really cool with them put together. So I might take parts of this pattern and just do like the stair stepping all the way through. I think that might look cool. I would never do the basket weave all the way through. I didn't really enjoy that. But the slanted section here, where you kind of slant, I would maybe do that all the way through and then see how that looks. So we'll see. It's definitely got me thinking of doing different sock designs for my next sock. This is the left sock. The right sock, I did the first 2 clues and I caught up, and then the 3rd clue I got behind, and so I still have to do clue 3 and 4 for the right sock, and I did do the different pattern with the right and the left, so this does lean a different way, like these stairs go a different way than the right sock will. And I'm borrowing Dawn's sock blockers because they look so good on her sock blocker. So that's what I'm working on, is really this blanket and this sock. I'm thinking about casting on a fingering weight sweater. I'm thinking about the batade. Those are the things that I'm kind of thinking about. So it was good to see you all. Good to spend a little bit of time with you. For those folks that couldn't make it to Chicago, I hope the Instagram helped out. I hope this episode didn't make you feel too left out and you know, if you come to Zoom, you can kind of understand some of the background now as you hear people talk. But yeah, it was good seeing everybody. There will be another episode because I'm already planning to do the Montreal episode, and I have to draw for prize winners, all that good stuff. So until next time, it's your dude, James, signing off. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.